Man, if there ever were a game that could be described as bittersweet, it would be this game. But in the end, it was mostly just bitter. This game, this Assassin's Creed Liberation, man, I had high hopes going into it. And knowing, like, after the fact that it was based off of the same engine as, or it was developed using the same engine as Assassin's Creed 3, and I've seen some gameplay from that game, I can conclude that most of the positives, most, not all, most of the positives in this game are basically just due to it reusing that engine. Like, man, like I had such high hopes. I was like, oh wow, this is such a great city. Or like okay, so there's three locations in the game. There's New Orleans, which was the main city, which I liked the design, and then there's the Bayou, which I have some things to say about that later, and there was Mexico, which honestly I was surprised that it went to Mexico, but it made sense within the story. But yeah, I had such high hopes seeing the city. I was like, wow, this is such a nice city. It basically felt like a precursor to the gameplay that I've seen in like Unity and Syndicate. So I was like, oh wow, this is like this is a plus. But nope, I was thoroughly disappointed by the time I finished playing. Basically, okay, to start, Aveline de Grandpré, that's her name, the main character. One of the, not one of, the worst main character so far. Like, well, yeah, one of the worst main characters for any video game I've played in a while. Like, I did not like her. She was so uninteresting. Like, there was nothing about her that really stood out. She's basically just seemed to be swayed opinion wise by everyone she talked to. Maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe I misinterpreted the story. It wasn't that interesting to begin with, so I wasn't really paying attention. I was kind of just playing through the game because I have it. Might as well play it rather than waste the money that I've spent on it. Even though I got it for, I think I got it for free actually, bundled with AC3, which I'm playing next. But yeah, I decided to play Liberation before 3 because I heard three's better. So based off my opinion of Liberty or Liberation, three's probably most definitely better. But anyways, yeah, Aveline, she's not that interesting of a main character. I feel like she just got swayed by everyone she spoke to. And the game starts off with like her mom abandoning her or something, and then she's living with her dad and her stepmom in like some big mansion. But one thing that's interesting about her is that she has this was one of my favorite parts of the game, although I don't think it was used that well. The different personas that you could use, like the assassin, slave, and lady persona. So, and then also how they integrated into that the fact that you could lose like the wantedness or like rep, you lose the bad reputation to lower it based off of I mean through different methods. Like if you're the lady, you have to take out the witness when you're in a different persona, or you could do it as a lady, but that would be more difficult. And then also she gets less of her weapons, but she has like a blow dart that's hidden in her umbrella or parasol, which was really cool. And then she can't free run and she can't like run fast either. So it's basically like the best disguise, but it was the worst mobility. So it's like the extreme trade-offs. Like you get the worst and you get the best. And also she would gain notoriety much slower. So that was also helpful. And then the slave persona, you could sneak into like the plantations in the game, and you just have to take off the wanted posters. That's how you get rid of the notoriety. And then you got some of your equipment and some of the free running abilities. And then the assassin had everything, but you always had at least one, or like you always had at least 25% notoriety, which was a cool trade-off. And then if you want to get rid of the notoriety, you have to bribe one of the like some like officials or something. You have to bribe them. But yeah, they didn't really use that to its maximum capacity. Like so many times, it forced you to into one outfit or another. And I thought it'd be better if you could like pick how you want to play through a mission. Well, at least for most of them, or at least some of them, you have like no variety. Like if it was like, okay, you have to change into this for this mission, you have to change into that for that mission, and that was like, I thought that was kind of a waste. It'd be better if they gave more freedom in that aspect, but it was a really cool concept either way. So that's something I really liked. And yeah, it was just like different abilities with different personas, and then you get different ways of removing your notoriety as well. So I if they brought that back, that'd be cool. Although I don't know how they would be able to do that, but I think it's a cool option to at least have, even if it's not like a big part of the game. They had it in this game, but they didn't use it to its maximum capacity. And then another really good thing about the game was that the free running was amazing for the most part. I believe it really benefited from the engine that Assassin's Creed 3 was built off of. And by the way, I was playing on PC. I wasn't playing like the original PS Vita version cuz yeah, not playing that. But the free running was really good, and it just felt so much smoother when it actually worked. So many times it's just started like not working, or like I would check if my controller was disconnecting, because one of my controllers frequently disconnects, but it was like still connected and she just wouldn't move. Like she'd stop on a ledge when I'm like wanting her to like run off the ledge or like jump to the next thing. She'd just stand there and I'd be wondering why. So that really annoyed me. And I heard that the game is just really buggy, but I don't know if it was just me or if it was the actual game, but it really like lowered my enjoyment of the game, which was already pretty low to begin with. Another thing though was that, and also I heard that this was also an AC3, that you can, traversing on the trees was really cool, like when you're in the bayou. And it really reminded me of like how in like original Naruto, they'd always be like hopping from tree to tree. And it actually feels like you're being stealthy and sneaky. And there was one mission that really put that to use. We have to like take out the guards who are up ahead and defend the raft. And you could either move through the trees or you could stay on the raft, but that'd be harder to complete that way. And there's another one where you have to like tail the guard and make it seem like they were cursed because they messed with Agate, who's her mentor. And also his character was kind of annoying. Like I didn't really understand the story that well because it was so boring, but he was a really annoying character. It seemed like he just held the grudge for so long. Like they like so much time passed and he's like, oh, and he was being so petty. Like the words that he would, the phrase, the way he'd phrase his comments to her when Aveline returned to him, like asking for a favor just for some information, he was so petty and was just annoying. Like I did not like his character. And oh yeah, speaking of the story, I really didn't like how a lot of it was just being told in the Animus notes. Like at that point, just put like a small cutscene. Like it was just like some tiny box in like the corner of the bottom corner of the screen, like here, just like taking up like an eighth of the screen, probably less, like a 16th. And it's be like, okay, this happened, now it's this year. That happened, now it's this year. And it was so like a couple of them I just didn't realize that's where the story was being told, so I kind of just skipped it. I thought it was just like tips and tricks. So that I didn't like that. Like I know it was originally intended for the PS Vita. I assume that's how they would tell the story in the PS Vita version. But like if you're making an HD version for the PC, like at least like modify that. Like I'd think at least that'd be the least you can do. Yeah. But yeah, it was like, for example, they talked about like the strained relationship between Aveline and Agate, and and it was such a big part of the story. Well, I assume it was a big part of the story because like you had to fight him later on. And then why would they tell that in such a small, minute thing? Like add some voice lines or something. Like it seemed like very low effort, like really low effort. Then speaking of Agate, like he lives in the bayou, and I thought it was gonna be like a really cool area of the map. It reminds me of the place in Red Dead Redemption where you can fight alligators or whatever. They did it much better there though. But yeah, the bayou, one of my main issues was that there are so many ledges that it looked like you could climb it. There's no reason that you wouldn't be able to climb it, but I couldn't climb it. And then I had to like go around, swim around this whole place, and it's such a big area. And there's no reason that it had me to walk all the way around to find another way to enter the place where I have to start the memory. Like, so there were so many places that it looked like I could climb, but I couldn't climb. I think that was just poor design. Like, because the climbable areas and the non-climbable areas looked virtually like the same. So that was one of my biggest pet peeves, or else that probably would have been my favorite area of the game because of the tree parkour, which I thought was really good. But yeah, that was annoying. That was really annoying. Another annoying thing was that there's no healing medicine. You couldn't buy any like medicine from any doctor. There's no doctor in the game. You couldn't buy nothing like you could with Ezio. You had to just wait for your health to like go back up. And I thought that was not good. I didn't like that. So many times also, because the controls just stopped working sometimes, I'd die in like 2 hits because I'm stuck in the slave persona and her health is less in that. And then like her health is less. The maximum is lower than when she's in the assassin persona. And then what's it called? I'd have like I'd get hit twice, and then I'm just dead because the controller wasn't working, or the controls weren't working. Not my controller. My controller was working fine, but the controls weren't working. And then they just hit me once, twice. I can't use any medicine or nothing, and I just died. And I thought that was annoying. That was bad. But on the flip side, another positive was that they implemented a feature about restarting from a specific checkpoint within the mission. I never used it, but it was nifty that it was there anyways. And then another thing is new methods. I assume Connor did the same thing. Like you could whistle from a corner and lure the guard somewhere, and then you could just take them out like that. And then also there's the charming factor thing. That was another thing of the ladies. And it was useful for some missions. You charm the guard, then he's going to follow you somewhere. Then you can like get him out of his post. And so you can sneak into the place that they're guarding. So that was useful. I didn't use it much. I think I used it like 3 times. And it was only like because it was necessary for the mission. I mean, the game was short. So 3 times relative to that's not that small. But it wasn't. I don't know why they made such a big deal about it. Like it kept telling me tutorial, use charm to something the guards, and yeah. But speaking of, yeah, I think the whistle part would be. I assume that's in AC3, but I'll figure that out once I start the game. I'm probably not going to start it for a while though. But yeah. Oh yeah. By the way, this game was so short. I beat it in like 3 sessions. Anyways. I'm not sure. The next thing is that there's no grabs. Like, you can't grab anything. And I was, at first, I thought it was because the protagonist is like a girl now, but I don't think that would be a reason why. But you do get a whip, and then you can, like, drag the target in, and then just attack them like that. Like, normally she'd, like, use the whip, kind of like a lasso, drag in the guard, and then, like, just punch him, then he gets knocked out or something. So, that was cool. I hope that there's an option to grab in AC3 because I really like that in as part of the combat in what's it called, Ezio Stories. But I heard that she gets the same animations as Connor in AC3, so maybe he won't get a grab either. But I just hope that he does get one. Anyways. Another plus is that there's underwater swimming, and that's a first. You went from Assassin's Creed 1 where you couldn't even touch the water or you're dead. Then 2 where you just get regular swimming. Then the next 2 games like Revelation and Brotherhood where there'd be some underwater parts, but that's only in cutscenes, to now being able to swim underwater. And It works pretty well, except a couple times again it just didn't work. But for the most part, I had less trouble with that, and I think it was a cool addition to have some of those underwater parts, like just to like navigate the cave in Mexico. I thought that was good. But speaking of that, one of the most annoying parts of the game, this made me really mad, was the canoe mission. The canoe mission at the end of the game, like really near, it was like sequence 6, but sequence 6 was only one mission or memory. And that thing, it just was not steering properly. The game just tells you use the L stick to steer the boat, the canoe, and make it through, and the boat has health, so you can't damage the boat too much. I'd like tap it, or I'll show you. I went like this, and then I just hold it like that. I mean, I didn't hold it. I just went like that and left it like that. Then the boat just wouldn't stop turning, or I went like this, and it still went this way. So I was so confused, and I was getting really mad. I was going to just quit and uninstall the game there because I really wasn't even enjoying it at that point, and I wasn't enjoying it before that point either. But I ended up just searching it up, and then they say, oh yeah, you just have to hold this, and then go use it, and then you're going to, like, you have to hold L2 and R2, and then you have to steer. And once I did that, I only hit the wall like twice, and the boat was virtually like damageless, and I made it through. So that was really annoying though. Oh yeah, by the way, I did not use a GameCube controller for it. I used what's it called? Use this. It was just that controller was right next to me. But yeah, that mission made me hate this game, and it made me, I was gonna give this game like a better rating or like think more highly of it, but that mission just solidified my opinion about how bad this game was. It's like something that you don't want to eat, and then you see it. It's like, think of an apple, right? And you have an apple that looks red and juicy. You're like, oh, I really want this apple. It seems like it's going to be really good. And then you take a bite and it's tart. And you're like, oh, that's terrible texture. But then it's sweet. You're like, oh, that's good. But then it just gives you a bitter taste at the end. That basically describes this game for me. And the bitter taste was like overwhelming everything else. Anyways, the last thing that I want to talk about is or one of the last things is that so many times it would make me go to the bayou, and it'd put me on one side, but then the mission start is on all the way on the other side. And I'm like, other times it just teleports me to like right in the same area as the memory start when I'm in New Orleans. But when I'm in the bayou, no, you have to start on this side, then you have to go traverse the whole way to the other side. And the canoes in there were virtually useless because you could just go in the trees, but then sometimes you couldn't find the entrance to the trees because the ledges that look like you can climb them, you can't actually climb them. So like half my time in the game was probably spent just like walking in the bayou or traveling the bayou to get to the memory start location, which I thought was really bad. And then there was one glitch I had where she was just swimming in the air. And yeah, anyways, yeah, that was really bad. That was really annoying. And sometimes the missions would be super short, so I just walked all the way over there just to do some like 2-minute mission, and it took me like 5 minutes to get to the memory start. Yeah, anyways. The last thing I want to say, last thing, the plot, I thought it was well, maybe because I wasn't really focusing on the story that much because it was kind of boring. Bad's probably like it wasn't that interesting, and it was kind of hard to follow. It felt like it was just unorganized, and also with like the little notes in the bottom corner saying, oh, this will happen, then it's this year, this will happen, then it's this year. Yeah, all that was kind of lame, I think. But one thing that I think was actually good was the stepmom being like it's kind of like a Disney trope, this evil stepmom. But the stepmom being the what's it called? Not the salaryman, but I can't remember what the name was, but it was like some businessman, or like the company man, who's like the person who was like reselling slaves, even though she pretended at the beginning of the game that she was helping to free them. So I thought that was like, oh wow, what a surprise. But now that I think about it, maybe it was only because I wasn't paying attention paying attention to the story because it was so boring that there was such a good surprise. Good surprise. It was an okay surprise. But yeah, that's about it. I went from one of the best stories and the best characters to like the worst that I've seen it in any game in a while. Such an unpleasant experience. I had to like drag myself through that. It's turned me off of Assassin's Creed for a bit. So I won't be starting AC3 for any time soon. Probably like 2 or 3 months until the next one of these videos. But yeah, I'll be working more on book reviews, or maybe play some more Zelda, continue that playthrough. Oh yeah, I almost forgot the ranking I'd give for this game. I was gonna give it like a 7 at first, then I continued playing. I was like, okay, maybe a 6. Then I continued playing. I was like, I'll give it a 4. It was that bad for me, because like 5 is supposed to be average, and that game was below average, I think, especially for Assassin's Creed. People have been dragging on like Valhalla, and even though I haven't played that, I don't think it's going to be as bad as this game. The best thing about the game, honestly, is that it was so short, so I could finish it quick without feeling like I wasted my money, even though it was free, I guess, in a way. But yeah, I don't recommend it. You could probably skip that game and you will be missing nothing. Seems just like a bad DLC, honestly. Anyways, that's it. Thanks for watching. Comment, subscribe, like, all that if you want. If you don't want. But thanks.